All right, we're live, Josh.
Cool.
We got a little bit of different setup here. Notice the quality improvement from last time. I still got to work on my camera, but you got the nice studio camera over there. How's things going?
Good. We had a couple inches of snow this morning, so I've been shoveling snow pretty much all morning. I've had to do it twice already for my driveway.
I know the snow came out of nowhere. So what
yeah.
are we talking about today?
Yeah, so we're going to go over a handful of things today. Some of it is probably going to be recap if you followed our channel for a while, but we're going to talk about interest rates. We're going to talk about what is going on in the Boise market. How is the drop of interest rates? What did we see that change over this past weekend? And then we're also going to go into areas like what are some neighborhoods to look out for? What are some areas in the Boise Treasure Valley market, maybe if you're looking at relocating here, that you could consider. But while I'm at it, if you could just give us a like, also let us know where you're watching from. We always like to enjoy to know where our viewers are watching from.
Yeah, and keep that in mind too. Yeah, we're streaming on Facebook and YouTube right now, so the comments might be coming through a little messed up, but we'll get through that. Yeah. By the way, I'm Jonathan. I don't know if a lot of you know who I am. I'm usually the one that's editing the videos, but figured it'd be nice to come on here because I'm usually orchestrating the graphics and everything as we're talking. So hopefully everybody can see us okay and the sound's good. We're just working on a few things. So if it sounds good, just let us know and we'll proceed. And already got a comment up here, so we can put that up there. So I think we can address that as well. Can you talk about CBH Homes? They build a lot of homes, but how do they work with negotiations? So kind of a good one because you just went through this.
Yes,
so maybe you can tell them what's going on.
Actually, a couple of these, right? We had a couple clients. So CBH right now, I mean, they have a lot of inventory. We haven't seen them move as much as far as their prices go when you're making an offer as much as other builders. I think part of that is they were the first to slash their prices, and some of their builds they've slashed, $100,000-$200,000 from the original list price, and so they aren't negotiating a ton. Seller concessions is almost a give me, but going underneath the list price any more than those seller concessions is kind of tough to do. At least that's what we've seen compared to other builders we've worked with. So really appreciate that. Storm Stratos.
You got to bring that up. I know we in our previous video we were talking about inventory. Do you remember, did their inventory decline or increase?
Yeah, so their inventory declined. I think our very first foreclosure video that we were talking about, they had over 500. Second time around, they dropped to like 480. But again, they're the entry level builder, and so then they were like the first to slash their prices the most. Other builders followed, not quite as extreme, but now they are slowly catching up to what CBH did.
Yeah, so. And I know last night, or somebody commented on our video from yesterday about, I think it was $875 for CBH home. I know a lot of people are finding that hard to believe, but it is true. It's happening, but prices are coming down.
It was happening. Happening. Yeah, they don't have any 875s now, but they did out in Kuna. It's kind of wild to see. So,
yeah. All right, we'll bring that up. I'll bring up this right here so you can kind of talk about these price reductions on this property right here, and then we'll talk about the interest rates.
Yeah. So speaking of CBH homes, so something that this particular seller is having a trouble with. So they bought this house just last year, and they bought it. I believe it was, what did I tell you? It was $640.
Correct.
And now they're selling it for whatever reason they're wanting to sell it. This is a CBH home, but because CBH has slashed their prices so much, this seller is having to drop their price and sell it under what they paid for it just to get out from underneath it. And so we were just browsing through the MLS as we do every day. And when I saw this, I was like, wow, that's kind of a big price cut. But the other thing that we want to talk about is over here on the right-hand side. So this is ICCU. They show their rates online, makes it nice and easy for us to quickly grab an interest rate and do a mortgage calculator for somebody who's thinking about buying a house, et cetera. And they've been sitting right around 5.875, 6%. Well, over this last weekend, we did see more traffic, not a ton, but we did see more traffic, and which kind of correlates with, I think we have an article coming up next.
When you say traffic, you mean buyer traffic?
Yeah, buyer traffic, more buyer traffic on inventory here. Now we are getting even more inventory on. So we've also seen people who were trying to sell before the holidays took their house off the market, and those are getting relisted. And then we're also seeing even more new construction that's getting complete and put on the market.
So do you feel with these rates dropping, the people coming in, I mean, to purchase, to buy, to come back on the market, do you feel like they're kind of catching a wave though from when the rates dropped? You know, a few weeks ago they started dropping, people started flooding to the market, and then people are trying to take advantage of these rates right now.
Yeah,
before they go back up.
Yeah, I think there's some FOMO going on, some fear of missing out, and so which has caused a lot of these people to jump in. You know, I had somebody reach out to me today. They said, "Hey, Josh, what are you doing?" And I just explained to them, like, right now for a primary residence, it's really hard to say go and buy a house because of how expensive the homes are and how high the interest rates are, make the payment really, really unaffordable. And so, so I just let them know, like, get ready, be prepared. And if the right opportunity comes and the payment makes sense, then, you know, if the house is right, jump on it. But it's hard, you know, it's hard unless it's a perfect house.
Right. And no, I understand what you're saying too with that. Interest rates I mean, they're still high. I know people say historically, but I mean, it's kind of hard to compare the 80s to now. People go back there, but like kind of these news articles we'll go into, I don't think a lot of people take into account inflation, cost of living. I mean, we paid $8 for a carton of eggs yesterday at Fred Meyer's, and they're saying inflation's coming down, which I don't know about you or anybody listening. I don't think inflation's coming down. Yeah. But let's jump to the next slide. Okay. Talking about how mortgage rates fall to the lowest rates in September, down to 6.15, which looks like maybe here locally we're a little lower. Yeah, but obviously this is an average.
Well, yeah, and I'll just say something to that. Normally, so we have ICCU and is a local credit union. They service the whole state of Idaho, and then we have another lender that typically competes pretty good with ICCU. But ICCU is typically the lowest interest rate in the mortgage market, but you also have to be like a prime borrower normally. But obviously you'd want to talk to them,
right? And so, you know, I know we have people watching right now. I really want to know, maybe you guys can leave a comment, let us know if inflation's really coming down for you. I know they're saying fuel prices are coming down, but I mean, let's get real about that.
I don't know, that filling up my diesel pickup is not that fun.
And now my wife's ready to get chickens, which she's always been against that, but I think it's time. Yeah. But you know, it's kind of cool to see mortgage rates fall, but again, I don't think prices are coming down fast enough, and I think cost of living and inflation is still going to affect a lot of people, you know. And it's I'm kind of skip.
Well, I think the other thing that people forget is it's not just interest rates, right? We have a huge amount of layoffs that have either happened or are coming. You know, Micron being one of them, Amazon, right. All these people are laying off, and we haven't even seen the effects of that, right? A couple of these companies just announced just a couple of weeks ago that they're doing these layoffs, and so we aren't even going to see the effects from these layoffs probably for a couple more months, you know. And so, for instance, another just real life story. We have a client who works for Micron, and they just said, "Hey, I wanted to buy a house, but now I just kind of want to wait to see what's going to happen. Am I going to keep my job with Micron, or things changing?" So, so I think that's, you know, something important.
Yeah, and if anybody works at Micron or knows somebody who works at Micron, I mean, you kind of fill us in as well and let us know what's really going on there. But yeah, I do agree with you that, you know, I don't think we see the effects of it. And, you know, obviously real estate works on waves, just like, you know, when you close, you know, it's a 30, 60, 90 day cycle. So I'm not doom and gloom. I mean, I like good news if things are able to move forward, but I just feel like we're on this constant wave pattern, and people are like highs and lows, highs and lows, and highs and lows. So yeah. But I mean, you know, if it works out for them, it does.
Absolutely.
And one thing I did want to bring up, a part of that about the inflation is, you know, currently, I mean, obviously everybody's seen this, but we're right now in the current highest debt cycle the U.S. has ever been in. Not with, I mean, the national debt, but also consumer debt. I mean, we're approaching $1 trillion worth of consumer debt, which is dramatically spiked. And at the same time, saving rates are at all-time low. I mean, all-time lows. Just 2 years ago, we were at all-time highs. I mean, within 2 years, I don't know the number. I think we've wiped out almost 60, 70% of American savings accounts, which is insane. But I mean, I think there's a lot of factors more than just prices coming down. A lot of people are struggling right now.
Hey, before we move on, I just want to say hi to Daniel in Boise, and then Jessica, who asked us to come to Magic Valley. Jessica, we did do a short video. Our very last video we did, the very end of it covered the Magic Valley a little bit. But yeah, we will be covering that more. You and many others have asked us to do that. So we are going to dig deep in that. And for those of you who have just tuned in, we'd really like it if you like this video. If you haven't yet and you want to follow the Idaho market trends in real estate, please subscribe to this channel. So,
Definitely. And I just want to add that in, Jessica. We did release, I'm not sure if Josh just said, we did release a video yesterday covering the Magic Valley. Sometimes a little harder for us to get numbers from there, but we're working on getting better sources to fill you guys in on that as well.
Absolutely. Thanks for coming in, Jessica.
Yeah, definitely.
And Daniel. And again, for those of you who just tuned in, please leave us a comment. Let us know your thoughts on what's going on.
Yeah.
So,
So, and
okay.
also,
something that kind of correlates with what we talked about here this last weekend. I mean, this last weekend we did see more buyer activity, more lock boxes getting hit than we have probably in the last couple months. And it correlates with this article that came out where mortgage applications have increased 27, almost 28% from the week prior. So we are seeing that here, but something to also keep in mind is we're still 35% lower than this same time last year. And I think what some people may even do is they're going to get approved for a loan and then they're going to realize, oh man, that's what I'm going to have to pay for a house like this. Why not just rent and stay in a better house instead of buying something that, doesn't make sense.
So that's the point of being educated too and doing your due diligence on that. I mean, a lot of people get pre-approved, but when it comes down to it, they're writing the offers, all of a sudden they see that interest rate that's locked in. It's pretty hard to swallow for a lot of people. But I mean, news organizations are picking it up though, and people are seeing a spike. But again, I think it's waves. Mm-hmm. But it'll be interesting to see what happens next month as well. Yeah, on there. Cool. So big news here. Kind of switching gears here. Wells Fargo, which I'm sure a lot of people know, once the number one player in mortgages, is stepping back from the housing market. So, what do you have on that, Josh?
Yeah, I just find this interesting. I mean, you go on and you read the article more, it talks about different things, why they're pulling back. But for the number one, or who used to be the number one mortgage player, is stepping back from the housing market, kind of just makes me scratch my head and say, what are they seeing? What do they know that maybe everybody else is not wanting to hear, or not wanting to see? So it's interesting. And I think we're just going to have to continue to see. I mean, we've already seen a lot of finance companies lay off loan officers and loan processors and all this. So it'll be interesting just to kind of follow this to see where Wells Fargo takes this.
And I think kind of just driving home the point too, that's why it's so important. If, when you are purchasing real estate anywhere where anybody's located, it's always good to work with the local team. I mean, there might be some people that work at big banks, but it's nothing like being able to call or text somebody when you have a problem and they can fix it for you instead of calling the East Coast and you have to get a hold of them, on a Friday and you have to wait until Monday now. So
absolutely.
It makes it tough sometimes.
Yeah. I mean, we used to work with a guy pretty frequently, haven't that much lately just because, our business has been a lot lower than it has. Mm-hmm. But I mean, he worked for Academy Mortgage. He could make a phone. We could walk across the hall, talk to him. His name's Mike McLean, solid guy. And he could call his the processor or the underwriter and get an answer right away. Where when you deal with like Wells Fargo or one of these big banks, it just takes a lot longer time to get a response, and they're kind of more limited to their customer service.
Well, I can see why they're stopping, because their customer service. So I mean, trying to deal with them is like staring at a wall. So anyways, we got some kind of, we go over the stats here because I know people like graphs and stats, and you can kind of talk about what's going on. And I've included the two slides here also with some of the price reductions we're seeing in the valley. I mean, there's a lot of them, and concessions from sellers. So
I think we need to hit on this. This is a reminder. I mean, we've been preaching this, belaboring it. Sometimes I feel like we're just a broken record, but that's okay. Keep in mind, all these builders, even after this little small wave of buyers that kind of hit the market over this last weekend, builders are still cutting prices and offering concessions. So that top one is Hayden Homes. They're offering $20,000. Lennar, they're saying they'll give you a price reduction up to $60,000. And there's many more.
Obviously on select homes, but $60,000. I mean, it's considerable after you negotiate too, and you're still getting that $60,000.
Yeah, I mean, Lennar's kind of getting hurt nationwide, not just here in the Boise market, but definitely getting hurt in Boise.
Definitely.
So,
and then to kind of go over the Ada County stats still, I mean, if you guys want to go back and watch our in-depth videos of this, we'll kind of go over it really quick, but we are down pretty much on every statistic this year over year. Obviously the median house price is still sitting at 515, which is kind of hard to look at sometimes, but it's sitting there, it's coming down. Homes sold, we're obviously down on that as inventory is increasing or decreasing? What do you think, Josh? Because
Well,
there's a lot of theories out there
Yeah.
if people have watched our videos.
Yeah.
So
Well, inventory is still increasing. I mean, right here, we're seeing it increase to 151% year over year in December, and it's still increasing. We're still seeing new things getting put on the market. And so I think inventory is still going to increase. And the thing that we are trying to figure out is, so this demand really dropped, right? The year over year stats, we had about 5,000 less homes sold from 2021 to 2022. And so if this demand continues down and our inventory, let's say, stays the same or increases like it has been over the last 6 months, well, then we're going to see quite a bit more price reduction. So,
yeah. And also, I mean, with days on market too. So sellers, I know we help a lot of sellers, but there's a lot of people that, just not sure what to do right now because prices are coming down so rapidly. So houses are sitting on the market longer.
Yeah.
So it'd be interesting. I mean, I think 2023 will be a kind of a wild ride.
Yeah.
I kind of view it as like a washing machine. You got inflation, cost of living, prices, houses, people. I mean, it's just insane. And there's no way of just, rolling the clothes out and seeing what happens. It's just it's just a mix of everything. So it's hard. And I just feel for people because I know we're all feeling the pain of it, but yeah.
Oh, before we go on. So normally I'm sitting on this side, John, for those who just tuned in, this is Jonathan. He's our editor. And if you guys have really appreciated his editing, if you could just give us a like or comment below, I think he's done top notch. And I just would love if you guys did a small shout out to him while we're doing this video. So
I appreciate that. And, another comment here. I'm watching from Boise. I've been following for a couple months now. Your information is top notch. Thank you for what you do. Oh, we really appreciate that.
Thank you.
Kind of drives home the point there.
Yeah.
We try. I mean, we're just basically a small team, and then the two of us that do a lot of the video content. Other agents do. We have a different channel for that, which I'll share in the next description. But yeah, we're just trying to put out real in-depth information that's fact-driven and kind of real no bias to it. Just trying to give you the way it is.
Yeah,
as well.
And sorry, I would try to pronounce your name, but I would slaughter it. So I'm just going to say thanks for that comment.
And we got another comment from John. Do you think listings will increase in February? I'm looking for a home, but not finding one where I'm looking.
Yeah, John, I think so. Historically, inventory increases from January all the way until about August. August is normally about the peak of the market of where we see the highest inventory on the market. And so as long as the historic trends continue, then I would say yes, we're going to see even more listings come February, March, April. And one thing that I would just encourage you is like when you're at the office or talking to your friends or talking to people, just kind of listen. What are people saying? And we've heard a lot of sellers say, "Oh, we're just going to wait till springtime to put it on the market," when there's a lot of buyers. People are just kind of like at this pause. They think maybe if they wait till spring, even though less, anyways, I have a different theory about that. I'll say for another time, but I do think we're going to continue to see listings increase going into February. Already the first week of January, second week of January, we've seen a handful of listings getting thrown on. So thanks for that question. Obviously, I don't have a crystal ball, so full disclosure, don't want to be held accountable if listings go through the different way, John.
But that's the same thing. I mean, data changes every single day, and that's why as fast as we can try and get videos out, we do, but we want to do them in a manner that still has quality and sustainable on there. Yeah. Well, Josh, I know you want to talk about some places to consider if people are still looking to purchase or relocate.
Yeah. So I'm going to get on it. And I know that some of you guys, both Boise local people might hate me for just talking about the top areas here in the Treasure Valley market. And if you don't hate me for saying that, it would be really cool if you commented some of your favorite areas here in the Boise market. So I'm just going to name a handful. I'll let John name a couple of his and why. So I'll just kind of start out. I was born and raised here in Boise, Meridian. And actually, I think I was born in Nampa, but I grew up in Boise, Meridian. And so I've seen a lot of growth change, right? We've seen the farm fields that I used to run through with my brothers are now houses, right? Some are apartments. And so we've seen a lot of change. Well, when I first got married, my wife and I, we lived in the North End, and I love the North End. It's a historical area. Some things, though, you got to watch out for the North End is if you buy a house in a historic district, because then that's going to really limit on how you're going to be able to renovate the house. And so, and there are a lot of them are older homes that we are seeing a trend where somebody will come in and buy a a small house, scrape it, and build a brand new one. Or we have a friend of ours who he buys houses down in the north end, and instead of scraping the houses, he lifts them, digs out a basement, and then remodels the whole thing, puts it back on the market. So the thing that I enjoyed when I was married and we didn't have kids yet is we could just hop on our bikes and go downtown. We could go downtown, get a bite to eat, ride our bikes from the north end down there, go and see a show, a play. And so I really like the north end for that fact. And there's a lot of parks, small parks, big parks, Camel's Back Park, a lot of hiking, mountain biking. And
Can I add something in there too?
Yeah, for sure.
So as an outsider, I mean, I guess I can't be considered a local because I moved here in 2018 from Oregon. So, it was time, once we retired from the military, it was time for my family to leave Oregon and come to Idaho, which, we've been trying to, and we love. Mm-hmm. And I'm so glad we ended up here in 2018. I'll say that again. But, but again, what you're talking about the north end, but also downtown, I come from Oregon, which I don't know if anybody's from Portland or anything, but the insane amount of difference of how clean it is and how just refreshing, Boise is. I mean, not all parts, but obviously, downtown, it was so eye-opening to come down there and see that. So I just want to throw that in there.
Yeah. Yeah. And when you live in the north end or, there's, I don't know, there's more of a community feel down there. It's essentially a giant neighborhood because the houses are so close, right back to back.
Yeah, and if you guys are just jumping on, if you want some data, you can go back and watch the data points. Mm-hmm. And then we're kind of jumping into neighborhoods right now.
And if you want data that we haven't shared before on the channel, we'd always like that feedback. So,
100%. If you have a question, reach out and we'll get an answer for you.
Yeah. So, so to wrap it up, the other thing about the north end is if you like skiing, snowboarding, or even mountain biking, it's a quick drive up to Bogus Basin from the north end. So that's something that we like.
Yeah.
So,
I'll throw one of my favorite parts in.
Okay.
So,
after you do that, we'll go ahead and jump to this comment.
Definitely. So obviously I live in Southeast Boise, so unincorporated Ada County. So not quite Boise, but I'd say one of my favorites. I mean, the Oahes or Murphy. I don't know if a lot of people have been out there. A lot of people don't even know where that's at or heard of it. But we have our UTVs side by sides. We're always out there, and I've just really fallen in love with that area. So I'm not sure if people on here, are into outdoor activities like that, but if you are, start a conversation. I can tell you about all kinds of areas. There's such dynamic, cool areas to go out there.
Yeah, I think John, you've had your Razor for not even a year, and I think you have 5,000 miles on it.
Yeah, just approaching. So not sure. Yeah, pretty clle. So yeah, we're out every single weekend though. It's just so much to explore. Yeah, and
so Oahe is an area that he likes to hang out or take his Razor out to, and so that's going to kind of be on the outskirts of town, out past Nampa,
right,
Marsing, Murphy. So real quick, we're going to jump to this comment from Maverick. Maverick, he says, do you think most people are financing their purchase more than coming in with equity cash? Or do you think dynamics of buyers type have shifted since the pandemic? Hey, that's a really good question. So what we've actually seen is about 1 in 5 buyers are buying in cash. And so, yes, there's still cash coming into our market. But I've also seen more of owner carries coming. So people who have these higher priced homes, and they've been slashing their prices, I've seen them start carrying the note. So instead of, so essentially creative financing, instead of having to go to the bank and get a loan that way. So we've seen that, but we are also seeing once we start getting to that $200,000 price range, we're seeing people take advantage of that first-time homebuyer program through Idaho Housing, which is essentially 99.5% financing. So they really come to the table with very little money. And so we are seeing that, but we aren't going to see more of that until prices start coming down more, I think.
Yeah, and also just to throw something into Maverick, obviously we're not licensed lenders. I mean, we can only see what, the data that we see. Yeah. But if it is something that you guys would like us to bring somebody on that's give you the facts straight and is not biased and not trying to sell something to you, we can bring them on as well to answer those questions for you.
Yeah.
Yeah. We got another question here too. From Kurt. Hi, we are cash buyers. We are cash buyers. Our offers are at 4% under asking price. Still can't get a deal at the 4%.
Kurt, where are you throwing your offers at? Are you here in the Valley? Who are you throwing them at? Because I think there's a strategy and something that, I talk to our clients about is if you don't fall in love with a house, it makes it the best for us to negotiate for you. So if you fall in love with 2 houses or 3 houses, then we can essentially just say, hey, Mr. or Mrs. Seller, this is our offer. This is my client's offer. We like your house. Your house is number 1, but we also have this house lined up if you guys don't want to move forward with this. Or and it depends on the situation, how to negotiate that 4%. But I'm kind of shocked if that's here in the Treasure Valley that you aren't getting that.
Yeah, Kurt, if you could comment where you're trying to purchase at, because I mean, everybody we're talking to is dramatically under, and even from our last video, the data we put out there, what was trying to think of some of the areas, but we were double-digit drops, correct?
Yeah,
Josh?
yeah. Some like for instance, the iBuyer Open Door. Now,
Right.
obviously, their inventory is kind of hit and miss, but they were dropping. I think the biggest drop we saw was 13%.
And weren't you saying that every single listing from
Every single listing
Open
from
Door
Open Door
was below
list price.
Yeah,
Yes.
I don't think a lot of people know that. That's insane.
Yeah.
But he's
Caldwell Nampa.
Caldwell Nampa.
Okay. Yeah, that's very interesting that you're not getting those accepted. Yeah, because we've been getting those accepted. I think our average ask, final list price to closing price, we're about 11%, 12% under that list price. So that's
not only under the list price, but also with concessions too.
Yeah.
So Kurt, if there's something else further you want to talk about, or figure out strategies how to deal with the issue you're having there
with limit. I mean, we have
obviously if you're working with somebody, I mean, we legalities don't allow us to negotiate or talk to you about stuff like that. But if you're not, I mean, you can reach out to us or email us, and maybe we can talk about issues there.
We can answer in generalities, but we obviously don't want to interfere with a broker client.
Correct. Stop putting in offers. Let this overinflated market crash. Well, I mean, you share the sentiment of a lot of people, and a lot of people feel that way. Unfortunately, people still have to buy homes, and they're still moving to the area, and I mean, it's just going to happen. I mean, me personally, I mean, Josh and I, we go back and forth. I mean, I do feel that a lot of it's overinflated. Also with, cost of living inflation, I'll keep harping on that because it's just killing people on everything. And it doesn't matter if prices come down, it's still going to hurt people if they're not in the position to actually purchase a home. And I got to bring one point up to this too. I know a lot of people are upset. And a big thing that I see too is when people do get into a house, they don't realize how expensive owning a home can be sometimes as well. Yeah. And that's why it's good to be educated on that, to understand the current market we're in.
Yeah.
As well.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm going to jump into another,
right. I like houses.
Yeah.
So do we.
another neighborhood that we like. Before I get into that, please, again, if you're just following, just jump in here, like this video. I'd really appreciate it. And if you like Jonathan's content, his editing skills, a subscription would be great, or a shout out.
YouTube certified. So
yeah, absolutely. So another area that I'm going to talk about is South Meridian. So South Meridian, we've seen a lot of growth because essentially we've had to grow outwards. And so South Meridian, they have a lot of new construction going on. There's a lot of like Sky Mesa, Pinnacle. So there's a handful of new houses. The biggest downside, I'd say, though, about South Meridian is we only have one high school south of the freeway. So in the West Data School District. So that's something that you want to be mindful of when you're buying a house down in South Meridian, is you have one high school. There's obviously middle schools, elementary schools, but if you have a high school kid, just keep in mind, he might have to jump across the freeway, go to like Meridian, and all the, for some reason, the city council at Meridian is really just pushing homes to go west rather than going south, where we have a lot of new houses. And so the other thing behind that is we don't have a lot of like grocery stores, right? So we just had Albertsons put in South Meridian. So most of your grocery store shopping is gonna, you're gonna have to commute a little bit to get there. A little bit for us is a lot for us is probably a little bit for you guys if you're out of the area, but I wish we would see more development there. The other thing is we have Roaring Springs Water Park, which is supposed to be one of the biggest water parks.
Well, it will be
after they're done with their expansion, which is kind of fun. Yeah. And we have Top Golf. They just opened that up, which I took my family there on Sunday.
Which I want to know if anybody here is actually able to get into Top Golf, because every time we try and book it out, it's like, have you really?
I did.
And you didn't invite us to go with you. Look at that. It takes us like 8 hours to even get a spot.
Well, we showed up right when it opened up.
Okay. Well, it's special access, I guess.
So,
yeah.
So, cool. All right. I'm going to hit another community here is North Meridian. So North Meridian is a lot of new construction. Now that there's a lot more development going there. There's a lot more new high schools. We have a new Costco out there. There's a lot of commercial going on out in North Meridian. But the downside about it is you're not going to have as many mature trees because there's so much new construction. So just keep that in mind. If you're looking in North Meridian, it is nice, but your mature trees are not going to be there. And if you are somebody who likes to or has to fly out, weekly, you're going to have a little bit longer commute. But they are creating a highway going from Emmett Star all the way to I-84. So that's going to be nice for those people who live over there. So
Definitely. Let's talk about Star.
Star, yes. Before we get to Star, we just had to share this video. So
hopefully I don't blow everybody's ears out here. So make sure.
Make sure the audio
up
is
a little
good.
bit. But this was a good time, but
Yeah,
extraordinarily scary.
yeah. We took our whole team. Skydiving. I dragged my wife to go, which was pretty fun too.
I can't believe I did this. So I did 14 years in the Army, and I'm not comfortable with what we did. What we did here. Yeah. The worst part of this was the age of the plane.
Yes.
I was just hoping we get enough altitude that we could get up, or if those wings came off, we could jump out. But
right.
You're trusting the guy you're strapped to. But anyways, this is, you can tell them that this is located in Star.
Yeah.
So one of the attractions over there, which
something
awesome.
You got to notice is all the farmland. So there's so much farmland still that's not developed, and so that's something you also got to remember. In Star.
And people are seeing they're people on our team. We tried to restart their risk level for the year. So yeah.
So it's something about Star that's kind of funny. So if you're local here, you normally don't say, "Oh, I live in Star." You normally say, "Oh, I live out in Star."
Right.
So it's still, again, with people that we've helped relocate, that's my wife screaming. It's so funny.
And again, I hope it's not too blown out for you guys. Like, I control the volume, but I can't hear what you're hearing. So,
sorry. Before we get more into Star, I would like to hit on Maverick, and then again, I don't know how to pronounce your name, so we'll start with Maverick. Thank you for your response. Do you think the current economics in the Treasure Valley will support the current house prices? Could we have a decline due to the layoffs in Micron? That is very good question. Again, so do I think our current economy, if we just looked at the jobs that the Treasure Valley offers, I don't believe our income is there to support our current home prices. Part of that being is I think our median household income is $70,000. So $70,000 does not get you our median household price, sold price right now in the Treasure Valley.
So again, that's why I keep harping that I feel like we're on a wave, because we've had so much growth. From when I got here, in 2018, this rapid pace of growth that came through, and we all kind of knew it was unsustainable, but it's interesting to see how everything shakes out. Yeah. And I feel bad for, I don't know if it's a mix of people who are working remotely and they thought they could stay doing that, but now they're being called back to work. Yeah. And now they're kind of in this in-between spot right now. There's no other place I'd rather be than Idaho, to tell you the truth. But, everybody's opinions differs on that.
Right. But we have seen, we've seen a handful of people that had to sell and they're moving back. So just last week
there was outbound.
Yeah. We didn't get the listing because we were realistic with the seller of, hey, you have these new construction homes, and I don't think you should price your house that is smaller and used more than this new construction home. And they end up going with another agent that, just told them, hey, we'll sell it for X amount of dollars. So, but they are selling and going back. So,
and one thing too that I think is going to affect the valley is obviously Meta or Facebook. I know they're going to build their data center, and it looks like maybe that plans have shifted on that. So I don't know the amount of people who with the our early advanced party that came here and bought a house, lived here, now all of a sudden they're having to change. It's hard to see until you see the reports. I think the reports come out this week on unemployment, inflation, and the Case-Shiller, right?
Yeah. And one thing I would also though touch on is we did have a handful of retired folks move here to Maverick. So those aren't necessarily job. They don't have to rely on a job. So that's something too. But we have a handful of retired clients that we're just saying, hey, hold off because we think the market's going to continue to correct.
Yeah.
So
again, thank you for your question.
Yeah.
So we have another question here too.
Yeah.
I want to move to a multifamily, preferably on the bench, but don't really know how to gauge if I'm ready to make the jump. Should I wait for the market to crash or keep on saving for a down payment?
Okay.
Good question.
This
I like it.
I love this.
Yeah.
I am passionate about rentals. Anyways, so here's the thing: we have roughly around 3,100 vacant rentals that are on the market. That doesn't include all of these multifamilies that are being built. Once those multifamilies get finished, which we're going to touch on later this month, but once these multifamilies get finished, then that's going to increase the inventory of rentals available in our market. So what I would say there is be wise. Right now, what we're seeing with multifamily purchases is if you're going to leverage it, if you're going to use financing, it doesn't make sense to buy it because you're going to be upside down. You're going to have to make a payment every month just to cover the debt service because the rents are dropping, which we've seen. Actually, nationally,
which we have a video for that, so you can go back and watch that.
Nationally, they're dropping, but here, even locally, they're dropping. So with the rents dropping locally, if this more inventory comes on and the rents are dropping, then your performance is going to be off. So you just have to be very cautious. You have to be very wise before you jump in something. But I want to say something. If you are thinking about buying multifamily and living in it, now opens up a whole nother can of worms because you can buy it up to a fourplex with a FHA loan or a conventional loan, or even a VA if you're a veteran, and then you can live in one unit and rent out the other three. So that, again, without knowing your specific circumstance, I think just be wise. If you want we have a calculator that we kind of break down multifamily. If you want a copy of that, just shoot us an email and we'd be happy to share that with you. So thanks. Yeah. And I'm just going to call you because I don't want to just slaughter your name. So,
and kind of bringing that up before I lose my train of thought on that too. If you're not working with a current agent, obviously because of legalities and we can't cross boundaries there, but if you want to reach out and have more of a one-on-one talk about that and about your current situation, we definitely assist you on that one or get you the information you need.
Yeah, absolutely.
Cool.
Thanks for the comment.
Definitely.
So,
all right.
Okay. Some other things that I just want to highlight on Star is you do have a little bit more space in between houses, except for in some of these newer homes, and it's close to Eagle. So with it being close to Eagle, some people who maybe can't afford Eagle or can be a little bit further out than Eagle, they like to buy in Star. It's not that much further. You're still really close to Costco, to a Fred Meyer's, but they have some like I call it historic things. It's older things like the Star Merc, right? It definitely looks like older, but you have a lot of new construction out in Star. So, so definitely a lot of new homes. The other thing they have out there is the Firebird Race. So if you are somebody who likes to go watch the drag races, they have that. And actually, I think it was just last year, they made Firebird Raceway, the drag strip, a historical landmark. So that shouldn't be going away anytime soon.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome to go out there.
Yeah,
you wouldn't think that's located in Eagle. It seems like closer to Emmett, but yeah, it's always an interesting part out there.
So
as well.
Okay, before I get into this next one's Middleton. We're gonna hit this comment real quick from Clifford.
We'll call him Clifford. So.
Yeah,
Clifford Daltrain.
Yeah,
I have noticed there seems to be builders that are not listing all inventory in the developments. Is this an attempt to suppress the inventory statistics?
So I think this is a couple of things. One, builders don't want to put on all their inventory, because if they put all their inventory on, then it's going to help potentially drive down the prices, right? Because they have more things to choose from. The other thing is some builders are having to drop their prices. So if let's say they have like 5 homes that are ready, they put 1 house on the market or maybe 2 houses on the market. Well, then these other 3 homes that are on the market, they don't have to show price reductions to make up for those other 2. But normally if you go into these developments, and even there's a database here that we use that shows how many permits that builder has pulled. So we know exactly, roughly pretty close to how many homes they are currently building in the market. And then you can go to them, and if you want to see these other ones, normally those agents will show you those. But anyways.
When we've done quite a bit of videos on this too, and we're actually building inventory.
Yeah.
Builder's inventory video coming up. We're working on that tomorrow and should be out next week. But I guess what have you noticed? There seems to be builders that are not listing. So do you consider not, or this is a question for you, Josh, do you not consider builders not listing when they're still in the foundation phase, like so many we're seeing, ones that are sitting for, I mean, weeks, sometimes months at time?
Well, yeah.
I mean, so
yes. So before everything kind of changed, they wouldn't list their houses until they were close to being complete because we had such a rise in our home prices were being inflated so fast. So they don't want to list it in foundation and then it'd be worth 20, 30, or somebody would be willing to pay 20, 30, 40, $50,000 more by the time it was finished. So they waited until it was completed to put it on the market.
And kind of what you're going into there is they were building homes for 2%, 3% interest rates. And now they're having to step back a little bit and understand what's really going on in this between 5.5%, and 7.5% interest rates. It's dramatic cost difference.
Yeah. But something, Clifford, that I also want to bring up is we're seeing permits being pulled back too. So builders are stopping pulling permits. So yes, they have inventory on there. I think again, they don't want to saturate the market with inventory, which will then cause prices to come down even more because then they have more options. So if they can kind of suppress the inventory, it will help them be able to maybe make a little bit more money.
Right.
So
another comment here from my father. You guys are fantastic. Love discussion. I'm in the market for a house immediately. I'd like to talk to you more. Thanks. I appreciate it. I'm sure you have somebody to talk to here. That's great.
That's
awesome. Well,
okay. All right. We're going to go to Middleton. Middleton's just this small town city here. And something that people like about Middleton is out there. The people there really don't want to see high density. I mean, there's going to be high density, but the people living there typically like their space. They like, and so they don't want to see high density. So you're going to see a bigger lots, maybe smaller homes. You're going to see some livestock, some people who have like gentlemen's farms or bigger farms. And there's not a lot of stuff to do downtown Middleton. I mean, if you blink, you'll drive right past it. But there are some wineries and some other things like Babby Farms is a petting zoo out there. But it's small.
I like Middleton. It's kind of filling away. I mean, it's so close to Boise, but so far away at the same time. Let's really enjoy it. And I do see you're saying a lot larger properties out there.
Yeah.
Not sure if anybody's listening from Middleton, but we appreciate you being here if you are.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and also a comment from Isaac. Hey guys.
Hey, how you doing, Isaac?
Yeah,
good to see you.
You're doing great on your videos, man. We're really liking them.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, CUNA. So I'm going to tell you the worst thing about CUNA.
CUNA. Depends where you're from.
Yeah. So the very worst thing about CUNA is right next to their high school, there is a dairy farm.
Yeah.
And if you guys haven't been around farms or that kind of stuff, the dairy farm, there is a lot of flies. And so you don't necessarily want a white house out there because those flies land on your house and they leave those marks all over your house. So that's probably the worst thing about CUNA. Other than that, it's great. I mean, if you live out in CUNA, you can run out to Initial Point. It's kind of getting a little bit trashy, but growing up, we used to go out there. There used to be a spot where we would shoot our guns. You can't right now. It's kind of trashy because people would leave their trash. So it's kind of a sad thing to see. But you have that. You could take your razors out, your UTVs, run around. Then you go a little bit further into Swan Falls and you can go fishing out there. So it's really close to that kind of stuff. You're still going to see some farms, but that's been one of the biggest growing areas. I mean, like there's Valor. Valor has a development out there right around a golf course. There's a 55-and-old community that's being built out there. And for those of you who are thinking, I just want to go buy land out there, something you want to be mindful of is there's a lot of lava rock out there. So just be mindful of the lava rock. The other thing that's out there, they have a seasonal thing where it's mainly the farmstead, right? That's correct. That's CUNA. I can't remember. Yeah, that's CUNA. Yeah, they have the farmstead out there, which is like a giant carnival during the Halloween time, family friendly. Is there anything else I'm missing out there in CUNA? It's actually growing enough that they might have a second high school being built. They just got an Arby's. That's a big deal. I saw it on Facebook. Everybody freaking out about that. So they got an Arby's just recently. They have a Ridley's. They have a D&B.
But being all serious, I mean, originally we came here, CUNA was an area that we were looking at because it was still had that rural feeling. but we ended up essentially landing in Meridian. But I really like the area.
Yeah.
I wouldn't go to Cuna Caves, or I know some people go down there, but not me.
Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah.
So, and Cuna's close enough. So there's a main road, Meridian Road, and then 10 Mile that those both connect onto I-84. So sometimes you can get places faster if you live in Cuna than if you were to live out in Eagle or Star. But you can still have, there's still some nice builders out there that are building nicer homes. So
definitely. Well, Josh, I think we highlighted some areas there, got some data statistics going.
Yeah.
Thank you for the ones that hung out with us for over 45 minutes now. Hopefully the quality is good for you guys. We're continuing to improve and trying to make this better. If you guys do enjoy this type of live stream, we're planning on doing it every Thursday around this time, included with our normal content. If you think it's helpful and you guys like to ask us questions, get answers right here. If not, you can reach out to us anytime.
All right. I have to ask this question from the audience, though, because you and I have this big debate here.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to ask the audience to help solve this debate.
Okay.
So
where are you going with this?
So here we go. All right. Don't fire me, Jonathan. Okay. Right. So Jonathan and I, we go back and forth. So we wanted to do some community highlights. Obviously, we really like bringing you guys the data, what's going on in the real estate market, what's going on in the surrounding, and so we are, our goal is to, expand to the whole state of Idaho instead of just Boise. Like Jonathan said earlier, we did a video on Twin Falls. We hope to go up to Kootenai County, as many of you guys have asked us to do. But on top of it, we wanted to highlight certain communities because we have a handful of people that are either live here and wanting to buy, or they're relocating here. So we wanted to highlight I've wanted to highlight certain communities. So if you guys want to see content like that, please let us know in the comments. And if you think we should be doing something different, I mean, we're always open ears. We may not listen, but
I'll put a couple of things out. I know we took a poll on YouTube about what kind of content you guys see. I love data-driven stuff. I love the news because not the news, but not mainstream news. I love the information we find out and put out. We want to put it to you in a way that you can understand and digest it. And I feel like a lot of times in real estate, people just push past that and everything is just sunshine and rainbows, which we all hope for that, but sometimes it's not. We want to get the information. At the same time, we do have a lot of different content we can put out. And if that's something you guys want to see, we can start mixing that in, but just let us know. I mean, and things kind of what we're talking about, like exploring areas, seeing different things, things of Idaho, more than just data-driven stuff. So let us know what you want to see.
We don't want to mix content and confuse you guys, but sometimes I want to. So.
Well, is that it, Josh?
I think that's it. I mean, we have 3 more towns we could go into, but I think we're about running out of time.
Last comment here. Wants to know if we can get down to a 3%. Well, we can definitely try. So
I think right now the best we've seen somebody buy down their interest rate was into the 4s. So we've gotten enough concessions. Now, again, concession, and we can have a lender on to talk a little bit more about this, but we got enough concessions from the seller for the buyer. They were able to buy down into the high 4s, 4% interest rate. So that was probably the best we could do.
Awesome. Looks like we got one more question coming in. Lots of people on the sidelines waiting. Your videos are super valuable. Keep it regional, such as Eagle, Star, Meridian, etc. Well, thank you for that feedback. See, it helps me out a little bit there. So we'll see what else comes in. But we do appreciate the comment. We do appreciate you guys watching our videos. It's hard to build an audience on YouTube. Facebook's kind of dead, but YouTube's kind of a tough beast. So we're working on it. But we really appreciate you guys growing with us and improving our studio and everything we're doing, just trying to bring the information to you guys.
Absolutely. So, guys, until next time, we'll see you.
Thank you. I appreciate